Hi, I'm James, co-founder of Sugru. Has anybody here heard of Sugru? Lovely, new people. If you don't know what Sugru is, it's a brand new silicon technology that we invented. It feels, looks exactly like Play-Doh. It comes out of the pack, feels like Play-Doh. But people call it blue tack on steroids. It bonds to most materials, and overnight at room temperature, it turns into a tough, durable silicon rubber. That's the sort of boring bit. About 3 years ago, we launched Sugru to the market. Before that, we almost didn't exist as a company. And we've been adopted by fixers, makers, DIYers, doers all over the world, actually in 120 countries around the world. And we have the extraordinary privilege of them emailing us what they use Sugru for. We get examples from fixing broken stuff. This is Ross in Florida. Hi, Ross. He sent us a picture of his broken electronic toothbrush. The silicon rubber button on it broke, and he used Sugru to rebuild it. And he sent that to us. So awesome. Thanks, Ross. And then we have people who modify stuff a little bit. So this is Neil in the UK. His iron used to topple over all the time. And to solve that problem, he gave it little penguin feet. And now it sits upright. And it's amazing. Really clever, simple solution. And this is something we're working on where you can bond magnets to bike lights and completely change the behavior of how you use something. So, you know, people all over the world are using Sugru to fix, modify, and transform stuff. And when we invented this, I think we thought we were making it for everybody in the world. Our mission is really to get the world fixing again. And we have this question of, is it possible for everybody in the world to be hands-on problem solvers? Over the last few years, we've had, I think we have, you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands, in fact, of customers who we think might be the early adopters, the people who are natural fixers, makers, doers. And we have this niggle, this challenge that we want to make everybody hands-on problem solvers. And I'm going to try and see how, through this conversation, just talk about how we think we might achieve that, or if it's possible, in fact. I'm going to start with Stefan. Stefan is in Germany. He's a dad, and his son, Linus, who was 3 at the time, was really into taking photographs. Stefan naturally wanted to support this, but was a bit nervous about giving Linus, a 3-year-old, his digital camera. So he did some research. He looked into kids' cameras and discovered that they take really crappy photographs. And manufacturers, for some reason, think that kids won't notice this. And they're also incredibly expensive. So he didn't want to buy a crappy camera. So one Saturday morning, he sat down and he made this. Incredibly clever. With Sugru, he built little rubber walls around the lens and built interesting little shapes around the body of the camera so that Linus could hold it and grip it easily. And if he dropped it, and he dropped it, it would bounce. And so there's something remarkable about this. It looks cute, it seems kind of fun, but something really spectacular is happening here. And if we stop and think for a moment about how we normally behave with gadgets, with electronic products, I think we can see what's special here. So normally you buy a digital camera, it's silver, shiny, metal. On the back, it's got this big glass screen that we spend all our time trying not to scratch. And then we buy a case, and we put it in a case, and then we put it in a drawer and on a shelf and away from kids. But in one Saturday morning, Stefan completely turned that on its head. On a Saturday morning, he reinvented the digital camera to do exactly what he wanted to do. He took control over the gadget. And other interesting things, really exciting things. So for Linus, who's 3, he gave them the freedom to take photographs without the terror of upsetting his father, of getting into an argument with Dad for breaking the lens on the digital camera. And another really exciting thing happened. He was able to, through doing this, through actually making this, teach Linus that if something doesn't work for you, you can change it, you can make it better, you can make it the way you want to. So I'm incredibly excited about this project. We made a video about this. We posted online. Well, obviously, Stefan sent us images of this first. We posted online, and hundreds of thousands of people have watched it. And several people have made similar cameras for their kids. So they've learned through example to do something extraordinary like this. But then jumping back to my question, can anyone be a hands-on problem solver? This project, I have a little problem with it. And the problem is, in Stefan's day job, he's a product designer. So I think Stefan has been programmed to think like this, programmed to challenge things rather than just accept them as they are. And I'm still wondering, can anybody think like this? Can we all have that level of freedom and ability to adjust and change things to suit our needs? So I'm going to move on to something, this is something we've been working on with an amazing London fencing manufacturer. They're based in Hendon, 5th generation fencing equipment manufacturer. And a few years ago, Alex there got in touch with us. He wanted to make customizable grips for his fencing customers. So we set out and bring all our user experience from working with Sugru customers to a product design process. And we built this completely new handle design. And throughout the process, we thought we were making a handle that would allow fencers to create their own custom grips. And that was a pretty neat idea in and of itself. But when we put this in the hands of Olympic fencers, this is James Davis, Team GB. He fenced with our product this year. Whoop! Go, James. When we put this in the hands of James Davis and Bas Verwijlen, two amazing Olympic athletes, something really spectacular happened. Rather than just making custom grips, they started to behave instinctively like brilliant product designers. Rather than just making custom grips, they started to interrogate the handle. They started building in features and details that were really specific to how they perform, how they fight. You know, adjusting the position of the thumb on the handle because of how he performs. And I mean, this project is, for me, incredibly exciting. I could bang on about it for about a month, but I won't. But you know, some things in it that make that really excite me is the idea that consumers or users are actually much more intelligent than we give them credit for. Somehow, with this product, with customization built in, it generates a behavior that's much greater than you might expect. And I'm wondering if that could be the future of product design, of giving more respect and space to consumers to create things for themselves. And of course, I'm going to jump back to the question, can anyone be a hands-on problem solver? And in this instance, it's a very specific product, it's a very specific use. I'm not so sure. I'm excited by the fact that people can respond in a hands-on problem-solving way, but I don't know. I'm going to jump on to Joann. Joann's from Canada. She is a canoeist, very fit, amazing woman. She emailed us a while ago with a story to say she wanted to participate in a canoe marathon up the Yukon River, and it's only 715 kilometers long. But Joann had a tiny problem. On her left hand, she has no fingers. If she was to compete in this race, she would need to be able to paddle on both sides, so she would need to be able to use both hands. And Joann wasn't able to solve this problem herself, but a friend of hers, and together with a friend of hers, they put a screw on her canoe paddle and built up a shape with Sugru that would fit her hand, that would allow her to canoe. And she emailed us a few weeks ago to say that she had completed the marathon, 3 days, 3 nights, no sleep, 715 kilometers, incredible. That's them celebrating. This is me celebrating. Amazing story. And there's something, this story has 2 really interesting sides to it. One is, back to the question of can anyone be a hands-on problem solver? And one is that in this instance, Joann had a really powerful motivation to change the paddle, to do something. And I don't think we all have that level of motivation if a cable breaks at home, or if the fridge door has a crack in it. We don't have that sort of urgency and need to change or fix something. But on the other side, since she's done this, You know, Joann before this was not a DIY or a problem solver, but since she's done this, she's fixed loads more stuff. And what's really interesting there is when you fix something, the world changes. The world literally changes around you. Once you fix one thing, you then have the ability to fix other things. You're sort of trained to see problems and to think about solutions and to try it out and to find a way to solve it. And that's probably one of the really exciting things about this study here, or this example about Joann. I'm going to draw a parallel between Joann and her canoe race, that 715-kilometer mission that she set herself out to do, to this. And I say it's the same thing. Aaron in Galway replaying his laptop power supply is the same thing as Joann changing her life and doing the 715-kilometer canoe run. It's the same as John in Connecticut repairing his kid's train set. It's the same thing as Jeffrey repairing the zip on his boots, on his motorcycle boots, or as Studio Banana in Madrid repairing a broken mirror, or as Franklin in Germany fixing the dishwasher rack, or Linda in London fixing a fridge drawer. Yeah, I'm jumping back again to the question, can anyone be a hands-on problem solver? I think the answer is yes. At least I'd like to believe the answer is yes. And I think what's magical here, something happens with all of these people emailing us stuff. If you think about it, these are really mundane, everyday fixes. Yet everybody here took a photograph of those. Everybody here then uploaded that to their laptop, wrote an email to a company they don't know, to complete strangers, and saying, I fixed my fridge, what do you think? This is amazing, I feel really good. And we post on our website. And the reason they do that is because, and I think it's really simple, fixing feels good. And if you fix one thing, I think you're on the way to becoming a hands-on problem solver.